The reason why we grew so fast in the size of the entries in the competition, because that's really what the cup is, was moving to the Mateel, I think.
Yes, yes.
When you go back in the lineage about 6 years back, 9 years, we went to the Mateel, and that
So
expanded.
wait, we were like 9 years at 101? Area 101?
This is the 15th year. It's 5 in Santa Rosa, 1 in Mateel. So this would be like
So
9 years.
So anyway,
So
we
9
were,
years at Area 101.
we were on the
right.
101 in Mendocino County, and that's why it's called Area 101, right? And we got too big for that venue. And so one year we moved up just like 30 miles up north into Humboldt County at the Mateel Center, which is a community center built by the community. And all of a sudden we got a lot more Humboldt entries.
Well, yeah,
right?
it was opening up into the 90s.
And that was like 4,000
No, wait,
people
we
there?
had a Humboldt winter when we were still at Area 101.
No, I was going to say, we had Humboldt people,
were there,
but it really opened the size. It kind of, all of a sudden we started advertising, and when we went to Humboldt, it was like, okay, well then we have to embrace everybody. So we started putting out more ads, putting out more stuff. It wasn't we weren't as afraid to advertise.
I think
and
4,000 people came to that. It was much bigger,
In
but
Humboldt?
there was a snowstorm the weekend before.
There was about 15.
that weekend.
I think there was 1,500 paid at Humboldt. It was the largest show they've ever done at the Mateel. We had
we had all that whole outside area.
And if it hadn't snowed, it would have been. Because they were way out the door coming in. But we lost our Larry, God bless him. He's not alive anymore. But our sound guy, he couldn't get out of Spy Rock.
Right.
We lost a speaker up on the hill that couldn't come in. So I had to get a new sound guy on the day of the show. Trying not to freak out about that. And speakers dropping out, and people not coming in. And we almost lost the whole show if it got any snowy or
it was
any
so
later.
cold.
Yeah, no.
But we still had
we almost got
people.
stuck driving out of here, right?
Yeah.
No, so moving to Santa Rosa was tropical. I mean, it might still rain, but it's
so we were
really
1
nice.
year in Humboldt at the Mateel
And then we
Center
tried to
in
stay,
Redmond.
but they took that date away from us because they promised somebody the next year that
I
date.
see.
So we tried to get to the other fairgrounds in Humboldt, the fairgrounds down here. We did two
So
presentations.
That was a blessing.
We did two presentations to the board of the county fairgrounds here in Mendocino, to the board, and I told them, if we leave, you guys are going to be sorry for life, because at that point, the second time, we'd already had the offer into Santa Rosa. And I said, we have an offer to Santa Rosa. If we end up moving down there, it'll be heartbreaking. We'll never come back. The cup won't be here. And they said, we can't do it.
Do you know what? They got a school there. That's part of the problem.
Well, yeah, we could have gone.
Well, there's also the Boonville's fairgrounds too.
You know, who knows what we could have done, but it was a
it was
blessing for us.
destiny.
It was a blessing.
So
No, it was a blessing.
that was the question you were segueing into, which was what it did for the cup and the sun-grown. Was we all thought, this is a mountain thing. This is where the cup should be. It's sacrilegious to leave the triangle. And that was the mentality. But by forcing us to not get these offers to play here, we had to go to Santa Rosa. Right. Santa Rosa's forward-thinking. They're the ones that take in all the bike racing, the microbreweries, the vineyards. They do everything
They're
now.
great.
The cannabis, they took us in. So they said if we did what we said, which was a county fair-type cannabis thing, we could move down there. We did. And the first year, the growers kind of held back because they weren't sure what it would mean. But then the rest of them that came down saw that now they were getting directly into a marketplace with the public.
But we brought the mountains to Santa Rosa.
Yeah, we did.
Actually, we brought
And then
vibe.
the business.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, with two things. We did recreate the vibe, but the business came in.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a big tent like there is now with people just selling.
The first time we sold, listen, do you remember the first year at the Cup? It was
At
in
Santa
the
Rosa?
lawn.
Yeah, it was. I remember outside.
And it rained like
It was
mad,
a mess.
and we kept
Mud.
putting hay down, and it kept absorbing the water and turning it into more of like a quicksand mush.
But see,
so we finally got
there's another thing that happened along the way, though. Rather than just having the contest for flowers, we started to have lectures. You brought in all these people to talk about, cannabis growing stuff and about, like Ed Rosenthal spoke and so on. Not just headlining music, but information and workshops. And that got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden we had to have a whole nother day just for all the workshops and speakers and so on. And
well, yeah, what happened was that bust when they came in and busted Cohen that year.
Yeah.
And we were going to shut down the Cup because they were threatening us. The cops had come in. The feds were threatening to arrest people. I was part of the 9.31 program.
Right.
I was about to crawl into a hole.
Yeah,
and people were telling me, don't do the Cup, don't do the Cup. And then I prayed and meditated, and it was like, it's going to be okay. And at the last minute, we put it back on.
Yeah.
And that's when we had those speaker panels to bring all those attorneys and all those people up to bond with us.
Right.
Okay, like if we're going to get busted, let's bring Omar and Ed Rosenthal and all the attorneys and all the activists,
Right.
Chris Conrad, everybody up to us and have a talk about this,
Right.
about what's going on.
And it jumped it up.
And
the
they
whole
all
level.
showed up.
Right.
They all came up because it was like out of respect and the
Yeah.
community and whatnot. And so it was such a wonderful bonding thing, and people liked it so
It just
much
raised the
that
whole
it was
level.
like, wow, you know, we should actually do speakers and do this every year.
Exactly.
And that
Exactly.
organically became that. Just like when they started the concentrate competition, it was like they asked me, Johnny, and a bunch of the guys, said, we just do our own in the corner, Renegade. We're going to do a Renegade
Right.
hash contest in the corner.
On the day.
On the day of.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess. I don't know.
Why not?
I'm not sure what that is.
It's cannabis.
But, you know,
He doesn't know
and
how
then-
to say no.
And then all of a sudden they did it, and it
Are
went
you
so
smoking
well
this
that.
anyway? You're getting
Okay.
stoned?
Sure is.
And then the first year it went so well in the corner that we made their own little tent out in front the
Yeah,
next year.
yeah.
And that thing was packed
No,
all
I remember
night.
going in there and,
It
and hitting
was,
on
it
them
was all
too.
night.
Because and
In
they
the
had
rain.
to judge how many entries did they have? About 10 or 15 or something at the most.
They had
that
some,
year?
that first year, but then they got to like 30.
Yeah.
The hash contest took off
Yeah, it did.
because outside of the cup, it's a different thing. But we were talking about, a name from the past that was a blast. That was so magical that this person, I felt like he just was a direct guidance from him from heaven, because I hadn't thought of it in so long. Was Norval.
Norval. Oh.
Okay,
Wow.
Norval was one of the
Yes,
first people that
dude.
actually understood where oils were going to come
I
into
see.
in this industry. Eventually going to come in. Norval was making the finest hash in the world. I mean, he was one of the
yeah.
finest. He was like Brandon and those guys with the rosin and all that they do. Norval was making that, but just hadn't taken it to the next step with
Right,
freeze
right,
dryers, because people hadn't figured out how to freeze dry it.
Yeah.
So he was making stuff that was that fine, but then lightly turning it into a hash.
I
I
see.
mean, with a little moisture, just bringing it together so it would be called that. And then the next phase of that was just turning that into full melt.
But that became part of the contest, and then from then you added edibles and salves and tinctures and the whole thing, right? It became,
Oh, it started fast.
And
Once
I
the-
just
once
think
that
about
fell.
another person who came to the Cup one year was Jack Herrera, right? He was there. Did he speak at that point? Because I met him. I remember I was sitting there smoking a
That was
joint.
early
Jack
on.
Herrera.
Not that year, and then we gave him the lifetime achievement.
Lifetime
He had
achievement.
died. He had already passed
that's
away.
right.
Yeah,
Posthumous. We gave
Right.
him
Oh,
that.
Dennis Perron's gone now
Dennis
too. He
Perron
got the
got
Yes,
an
award.
but we
award. He
did
got
give
married
him,
on
We gave
stage.
him the award.
Yeah.
In fact, we started. I don't know where the award came from. Why we even came up with the idea.
Who was the first person? Pebbles or something?
It was Pebbles.
I think,
Pebbles,
yeah.
Oh, let's all hail Pebbles, man! What
You know,
a great
And
spirit.
it was just like
she,
I think
she was a leader in our appealing to the county, appealing to the
Yeah.
state. There's a whole legal decision based on her that you can carry,
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount of cannabis with you. Like Pebbles was just,
Yeah, she's amazing.
yeah.